I'm so glad you brought me to bring your kid to work day. I can't wait to learn all about nursing.
I will teach the history of nursing in our country. It all started in the Civil War when they needed more nurses to help injured nurses. On both sides of the war they needed people to tend to the wounded. Women started to become nurses, which was a big deal that women were allowed to work jobs other than housework.
That's cool, but why were women not allowed to be nurses before the Civil War?
Women were not respected in society. Women had to overcome obstacles like convincing doctors to let them work in their hospitals.
What did nurses do at the hospitals?
Nurses would write letters, read, and sing to soldiers. They would also redress wounds and tend to medical supplies. Women were in charge of organizing supplies and medicines.
Were there any differences between the North and South side of the war? Black nurses in the North and South were treated differently. Black nurses in the South had the job of cleaning up after surgeries or sick patients,
while white nurses had easier and healthier jobs, but all nurses had to overcome the obstacle of contagious diseases and illnesses.
So you mean nurses would get sick too? Well, nurses were in constant contact with sick men, who would often be sick with contagious illnesses. Plus nurses were often tired, making them susceptible to the diseases.
Who was an important nurse that affected nursing today?
Florence Nightingale was an important woman who affected nursing. She was a leader of a group of nurses that were some of the first nurses to work in hospitals and the battlefields.
What else did Florence Nightingale do?
Nightingale wrote about her encounters on the battlefield and the different jobs she did. How did that help anyone going into the nursing field?
It helped prepare future nurses for what to expect in the field. It also helped women's role in society to rise. After the war, women gained more respect for their work in the war.
Why would women need to be prepared for the nursing field?
Women were already pushing limits by being nurses that they need to prove to society that women were able to work with men.
Why was it such a big deal that women worked alongside with men?
It was such a big deal because back then it was wrong for women to work so closely with men.
So what did they do about it?
Well, they actually would specifically pick attractive women to work in hospitals and battlefields.
What? That's so funny.
Well, women didn't care at that point because they were so focused on doing well and proving that they could be great nurses, they didn't care.
So how was nursing in the North and South similar?
In the South and the North, women nurses were not allowed to participate in medical procedures like surgeries and amputations. Thanks for coming to work with me today. I hope you learned a lot about nursing
Thanks
during
so
the
much for
Civil
teaching
War.
me about the history of nursing.
What did you learn today?
I learned that women had to overcome many obstacles to become nurses, like gaining respect from men and people in society.
What else?
That nursing in the South and North were different but similar due to the treatment of black nurses were worst in the South, but in both the North and South medical organization and procedures were the same, and sometimes nurses would get sick from working with sick men all the time.
You learned so much. You are definitely coming back next year.